Hello and welcome to episode number 17 of the Side Quest podcast. You're here with your host, Ben.
Your other host, Oliver.
And we do have a very special guest with us for this episode. We've got Mr. Callum France from Modiphius.
Hello, I am Callum France from Modiphius.
Well said, well introduced. Very factual.
These are the facts as presented. Yes,
perfect.
I am a studio painter at Modiphius. I was the studio painter when I joined, but we've now got two other painters and Julian, who works in our terrain studio painting as well. So
excellent.
I'm one of
fantastic.
Many. Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, Callum has joined us. I've met Callum very briefly at the Fallout Factions event, which was, God, that's got to be going back a while now.
It was last March, wasn't it? I think.
It might have been. Yeah, I know it was a good while ago. I'm a big fan of Fallout. Ollie, you're a big fan of Skyrim, and obviously Modiphius manufactured games or miniatures for both a Fallout game and a Skyrim game. So we were really kind of keen to get you on and have a bit of a chat about how you became a studio painter and kind of the process that you've taken and your kind of background in miniature painting, I suppose. So where can people find your work at the moment then? Where, obviously where are you on social media and stuff?
Let's get it out of the way early. I love this.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's get it.
I am Callum Paints on Instagram, and I'm also Callum Paints on YouTube, which I haven't actually done anything with that yet, but I'm going to.
Classic YouTube.
I locked it down, like 7 years ago or whatever. I'm holding on to it. I have to take it on my cold, dead hands. But I actually do intend to do some painting tutorials and stuff on there. So I'm on those two, and also if you just look at some Modiphius products, I might have painted it.
Ooh. Excellent. Are you able to tell us which you may have painted?
How long have you got? No, so I did
about 1 hour. Yeah, go.
Yeah. To put a number on it, I did a lot of Wave 10, which is coming out. So the Zetans, I did those. The Zetan Invaders, the Alien Invader mechanical version of it.
Mm-hmm.
God, now I'm on the spot. I'm panicking. I did some of Wave 9 for Nuka World. I did the Disciples Leaders and the Operators Bosses. I did those two. But basically, most of Wave 10.
Loads of Fallout.
You've done loads, yeah.
I'm trying. I'm like, my brain's gone blank as soon as you hit record, and I went,
yeah.
But we'll give you some time to think about it. I'm sure we'll kind of discuss some of them a little bit later on in it anyway.
Thank you.
So we're going to still stick to the kind of same format as we do in every episode. So we're going to have a little bit of a roundup of what we've been doing over the last week or so. Ollie, do you want to kick us off with what you've been up to?
That's what I've been up to. No, what have I been doing? Okay, I've not slept much this week. The old Baba is he's been learning lots of words now. He can go ab.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It's been half term here, so we've had the other kid off school. But today I did a good thing. I actually recorded a video. Not only this last video went out last week, like I said it would, a day late, but it went out anyway, the spray can video. That went out to good reception. Our last video podcast did pretty well, right? And then today recorded my pile of shame video because I was redoing the back anyway. So it makes sense to put all the models upstairs in the studio, organize, get rid of. And we've done two so far. So Kira and I did it together. We did my first one about 4 or 5 years ago, a couple of years ago, and this one. And Kira didn't even realize I'd sold half of her stuff from the last one. So she was like, well, my
didn't miss it. So
she was like, it's not that bad, is it? She's like, where's my IDNF, by the way? I was like, I sold them like 3 years ago. So I sold all her stuff. Mine, unfortunately, has gone the other way. She's not been at work for about a year. So I've been left alone with old stuff and made to order products. And it's
combo.
It's bad. Yeah. So for some reason I have more than ever. And there is also a big fat pile of Modiphius in there as well.
Hey, that's what we like to hear.
Needed to be
done.
Unpainted, Someone's going to help the business, right? Keep you guys going. So there you go. I've been doing that, all the Skyrim stuff really, and some Fallout things. But yeah, so it's actually quite good. I've made a pretty definitive list of things I want to sell as well. It's got to go. Just I can't have 9 40k armies where I've not played a game in like 9 years. So that's got to go. So that's been quite good in a positive way. And then tomorrow we have a couple of events on, so I've been setting up for those. And I finalised more details for the tournament, the biggest tournament in Ireland. It's looking like we're set for a big 40k one I mentioned it last week at a Brafey House venue over here. So that's in April. And then set for November, maybe we start adding other game systems in as well. So pretty hyped for that.
Amazing. So yeah, so
that's
this episode's obviously going out on Sunday, and is it today that tickets have gone on sale
yes,
for it?
Tickets will have been live at 12 o'clock today. This goes live at what, 6 or 5? I forget. So 6 hours ago, they've been selling. Now, historically, I've sold out the 64 events within the hour. So I'd be hoping to be at like 80 by now. That would be, I normally reserve this to like 20 or 30. So let's say we've done 80 tickets by now. If that's real now and you're watching this, I'm delighted with that. You'll find out next week if I didn't, because I'll be sad. So, sort of a late reaction video, and I'll be bemoaning my misery. But yes, it's looking to be very good. I've got some new fancy bits there, and maybe next year I might have even more things going on. So it's pretty good. I'm pretty excited. Scary, but exciting.
Amazing.
So yeah, I've been busy. What about you, Callum? What have you been doing? We'll get to Benji last because he's,
least important.
No one cares about him, right?
Least handsome as well.
Well,
best shed, right? I think.
Best shed, least handsome. Take what you can.
Yeah, exactly.
What have I been doing for my own hobby this last week? It's a big...
do you even hobby for yourself?
So this is, and well, I'll come to it now, I guess. This is what I wanted to talk about a little bit of, like, I've got a lovely job and I love my job, but it kills motivation to do it for yourself. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
I was about to say, you're not alone, my friend. Like, I've got 3 models from 1 million boxes done that I did for a video and then never do any more.
And then it gives me my fix, I think, my job, it gives me that hobby fix. So it's tough. I've been painting Lieutenant Titus. I managed to snag, a friend of mine sent me one, which was very nice because I didn't realise they were limited run, so I got very lucky. And so I've been like painting that. I painted the leg of it, and that's about as far as that's gone. And I uploaded that. I think that was last week, so it technically scooches in. And I'm going to play a game of Warhammer 40,000, my first in about a year, tomorrow, which is exciting.
Wow. What faction?
Amazing.
Ultramarines. And
nice.
That feeds into, well, I don't want to be like, I'll come back to that, but that's another thing that is probably a part of a later conversation, why I picked Ultramarines at the very beginning. But yeah,
he's so secretive, isn't he? Mysterious.
He is, yeah.
People have got to keep watching and keep
listening.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
God, it's like you've done this before or something, really. I saw. Is it a Blade Champion that you've been painting as well?
That's actually 2023 now. That's how infrequently I post.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You like Benji's YouTube channel? Wow. Yeah. 23.
Yeah, but it's gold every time, right? That's the
shit to gold.
Logic. Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's a curse of doing a lot of, like, I'll typically post a load at once when everything's revealed, and then I'll stop posting because that's been what I've been working on for the last 6 months or whatever. So yeah, that's actually fairly old. I looked at that today because I was building a timeline because I forget. I was like, I'm going to get my actual dates down for when they ask me. And I was like, it's 2023. You need to paint another Ultramarine.
Wow.
Well, you're one a year. You've not done it.
I was going to say, like, is the army you're taking tomorrow, is that painted? Is that?
No, I'm sorry. I know, Ben.
Classic.
You said when you said in one of the early podcasts, like you like playing against a painted army. I was like, he's going to hate playing me.
It's
like legs.
You can't backtrack now, Benji. You said it now. That's it. Useless
never take
bastard.
it off the internet.
Yeah. The thing is, I think I don't mind so much other people's unpainted stuff. It's like I personally wouldn't want to use an unpainted army.
I wish I could.
I think it's fair to say, like, I think everybody would say, like, everybody would prefer to play against the painted army, but it's I know obviously there's time constraints, and obviously we'll talk about it a little bit more in a bit, but clearly
you're doing it now
when you paint stuff, it's not something that you can't paint like a Space Marine in like 2 hours in the way that you paint.
I
what
I
mean? Like,
that's what'll happen. I'll just drop dead on the spot.
So I don't think it's even like physically possible. Yeah. So whereas me, I maybe not even 2 hours, maybe I could get one done in like 3 hours. But it's going to be nowhere near to the same standard as
it's
what
different
you paint,
purposes,
essentially.
Isn't it?
So exactly. So yeah. Anything else you've been up to this week? Anything else exciting, gaming wise or hobby wise
or life wise?
Anything you want to share?
I built that. I built this cabinet.
Amazing!
In prep, I kind of fixed up my office as well. I got some acoustic panels up. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, I'm not echoing.
You sound great there. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
I fall in the bottom rung. I've got a reasonable mic, but I am sat in my unacousticized, not even a word, but love it, kitchen. So kitchen's not historically known for the best
Not
acoustics.
that many soft furnishings in there, is there, to absorb the noise?
A lot of dirty washing, but that's it. Yeah.
And the thing is, with that microphone as well, occasionally you'll touch it and it'll go off. So
Okay,
we kind of...
That's the cable. And also, don't forget I've got
like
this
you,
headphone.
really, isn't it?
I'm glad I did my homework. All this would be a shock. But
We're a professional outfit, you see here.
Proper professionals here. But yeah, cool. So what have I been up to? Not a huge amount. I'm still painting the last few bits for the army that I'm taking to the tournament next weekend. So this time next week, I'll be down in Bristol for the tournament that Ollie and I were meant to be going to, but Ollie isn't going to anymore. I have got another partner now, so that's all fine and dandy. But
you
I've
moved
got
on
a few...
so fast, Benji. You moved on
I
so
did,
quickly.
and like I've just got over it. It's fine.
It's over it now already.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cry.
Let me find a filter for tears. This could be one of it. Where?
Like big, like sad anime eyes or something.
Do it in post. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I've just painted up the last few orcs. What else have I been doing? I've not really done anything. I may have a game lined up tomorrow evening. Depends if one of my mates can come over. But I just feel like I play so infrequently these days. It would be nice to get a little practice game in before the tournament next week, but we shall see. I've got a very talented doubles partner who will kind of carry me through the tournament, so it will be fine.
Are there nerves? Because I've never actually played a tournament setting. Are there, like, if you've not played the game in a while, are you nervous to go and like forget the rules? Is that a
no? Like it's
is that just me overthinking?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I think. It's one of those, like, we on the cheating episode, I think we kind of talked about it. Like, sometimes, like, you cheat kind of unintentionally by kind of not remembering rules and stuff like that. Like, if you do it unintentionally, people just kind of remind you of it. Like, if you keep doing it, then obviously, yeah, it gets a bit kind of tedious. But yeah, I think...
Fooled me 2 times, is there?
Exactly. I think most people are kind of fairly, they kind of remind you of the rules and help you and things like that. I've played it enough in the past to kind of know the rules. There is a new, it's Middle Earth tournament, so there's a new edition of the rules that came out in November, December, whenever it was.
Yeah, just before Christmas, that's right.
Yeah, yes, December, wasn't it? I think 14th of December. So
Correct.
It is a new edition. I've not actually played a game of it yet, but I've kind of read through the rules. I've kind of did a bit of a deep dive on the new rules. I've played so much of the previous edition that it'll come as second nature as soon as I start playing again. It's fine. It's fine.
I think that's what tournaments are like, right? I've gone to tournaments where, like, I may not be 100% familiar with everything, but I always learn a few new rules. When you go to tournament, most opponents, 99% of them, are lovely and teach you shit or tell you stuff or lie to you and cheat you anyway, but you don't know, so it's all
but
fine.
They're nice while they do it.
Exactly, they're lovely. Yeah, they normally buy you a pint and then go and then table you. So it's fine. So yeah, I find most tournaments, actually, I don't really find it too scary. Like, I went to Lord of the Rings, I'd never even played a game when we played, really, right? I think I'd had 2 sort of half trial games against a Balrog in my shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to the game and was like, right, Benji, I'm excited for Lord of the Rings. How the fuck do you play it? And what is it? So yeah.
So I had to sort of carry you through that tournament as well. But
honestly, it really was in my mind, like, I need to pair this up with this and this and this. And I'm just like, do you want a drink? Anyone want a drink? Come back to be like, oh, that's all done. Yeah, good job, Ben. Just exactly what I was going to do. Yeah.
You read my mind.
Pair that guy. Which one's the elves again? Because that's me, isn't it? Yeah. And what have I got? Is it use a shield, do you think, Benji? Yeah, I'm going to use a shield. Yeah.
Do that.
Shield's good now, isn't it?
I think
you tell me to use a shield and I just go, nah, roll a 6. Yeah.
Just roll 6s. That's all I need to do.
Just kill dwarves.
Your aim pretty much was to get the opponents drunk.
So
anybody want drinks? Like, anybody want a tequila?
I think every single game, so like Elrond has this thing where he has a bit of magic, right? He can either heal himself or like knock a load of people down. I'm like, right, turn 1, right, Benji, I'm thinking of sticking Elrond right in the middle and using that big spell. And he's like, yeah, go for it. It never worked.
Not once.
But this Elrond then surrounded about 9 dwarves, he just kills them all anyway. So
I don't think that was necessarily like bad tactics. I think it was just purely bad rolling.
Yeah, I'm like, right, I rolled a load of shite, and they're like, yeah, I'll just roll 1 to stop that then. Oh, yeah, I stopped it. I'm like, but it was good fun. Basically, because Elrond never dies, right? He never died. He just ran about.
Yeah, just survived but did fuck all for the entire game.
Yeah, basically.
But never mind.
So it was good fun. So doubles, Callum, I think for me was a big one. But singles is good fun. But doubles, I think, is the way. I think that's the tournament special.
I think that's something. If I was going to do it, I think I'd start with doubles. Yeah.
Yeah. I just play with somebody who knows what they're doing, and then you haven't got to do anything.
Yeah. Like I ran a little tournament. I think I mentioned it before on the podcast, but I ran a little tournament a couple of years ago. and Luke Fellows went along, and he was just like, he'd never played a game before, and he just like painted an entire army like in, I don't know, 4 hours or something the day before, and he was just like turned up. He's like, right, I've never played a game. How do I play? And he just got his first 2 opponents to like pretty much teach him the game, and then after that he just like played it, and like he came like. I don't know. I have like 20 players. He came like 8th or something like that.
He's never played.
Completely winged it. So
he's a charismatic dude. I can
possible.
see how he did it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So should we do the sponsor segment?
Oh yes. So we actually have a sponsor for this episode.
Do we?
Yeah, genuinely, it's a shop over in the west of Ireland called Broadsword Wargaming. They're going to sponsor this episode. Not only are they one of Ireland's premium top quality, on Trustpilot, the most highly rated Trustpilot store out here in Ireland. How about that?
And there are some really untrustworthy stores in Ireland, is what you're saying.
I didn't say nothing. We did get our first 4s, though. I've had all 5s and 2 4s.
2? I was only 1 last time I listened. What happened?
Yeah, someone wasn't happy about the fact that UPS existed, and the other person wanted more pictures on the website, even though legally I'm not allowed to do more Games Workshop pictures. But
do you want to do some Modiphius pictures?
I've got multiple Modiphius pictures, so that's fine. If you give me the rights, I'll do it. That's it. So, but other than that, yes, a very trustworthy store, and they do lots of products. They sell Modiphius products as well. So, one of the only places really knocking around our area that sells Skyrim and particularly Skyrim, but Fallout as well. So, a great shop to go to. They love the channel. I hear the store owner's a really handsome guy, particularly when he has a nice filter on. He's really good looking. Basically, I think actually, Benji, they do good shipping, don't they, around Europe?
They do. I hear on the grapevine that it's to Germany.
It's to Germany, isn't it? Particularly.
I think it's about €8 to Germany.
I think so. For a small light package yet to go to Germany, you can certainly get that for about $8.50.
Crazy,
yeah.
crazy
price. It's bonkers.
It's really useful because that's our studio terrain guy lives in Germany, so it could be of use.
There you go. If he fancies picking up some Modiphius from the website, do you know what I mean?
He's spending his wage on some of that stuff again.
We're 10% cheaper than Modiphius as well, so there you go. How about that?
It all works out.
Undercutting those
He's making 10% back on his wage, right? That's how it works.
Till they put a sale on, and then but that's the way of it, isn't it? We can afford to do that, so it's the way of it. So they're a quality shop. So they're our sponsor for this week, and also they're running, I hear, Ireland's largest ever. They already, to be fair, hold the record for Ireland's largest tournament, but Ireland's first ever major event for 40k out in April the 26th and 27th in Braithey House Hotel Resort. Yes, it is a resort. It's pretty beautiful. It has like a drone footage of how amazing it is because it's that big. I think they're running a shuttle bus from Castlebar for those of you who are worried out there that it's going to cost too much to get to just outside of town. So they're running a shuttle bus as well, Saturday and Sunday, to get you picked up and dropped off at the event. And there's multiple prizes. We've got sponsors by Siege Scenics. We're sponsored by Warmag now, and I'm sure Callum will come over and paint armies for everybody as well.
Yes, that sounds feasible. Totally.
In
a day. Why not?
So that's our sponsor for the week. They pay Benji nothing, and they don't really pay me anything either. I'm last in the rung.
They pay me something. I hear.
Probably pay Callum more than us, to be fair. Yeah. To be fair, they do. Yeah. So yeah, that's the way of it.
That's this week's sponsors. Amazing. So incredible. It sounds like an incredible sponsor. We've no affiliation whatsoever.
I think legally we have to say we are affiliated or something, but legally we are. But for the joke, we're not.
Do I have to tick the sponsored? Is this sponsored content?
I think if you sponsor yourself, you have to. Yeah, but I'm not sure.
Really? Oh, I'll have to go back. I'll have to go back and tick all the boxes now.
Okay, let me correct it. We're not really sponsored by them. It's my store. There you go. We're not sponsored. There you go.
And I make nothing out of this, so that's what.
Neither do I.
We make nothing from this, which is a nice little segue into promoting our Patreon. If you do want to support us in any way, Patreon is probably the best way that you can do that. It allows you access to our Discord where you can suggest topics for the episodes. You can ask questions, especially if we've got guests on. We've got some questions from our Patreon to ask Callum today. So we will dive into those a little bit later on. But yeah, Patreon would be the best way. If you can't support us on Patreon, that's absolutely fine. Just watching is amazing. But make sure that you click that subscribe button, and because we are desperate to get to 1,000 subscribers. In last week, we've increased our subscriber count by about 100, which is amazing.
Yeah. Last week went well, right? I was a bit pissed, and we just did an off-the-cuff video about paints, and it was great.
Yeah, that was literally. I think we decided about half an hour beforehand. It's like because I think we've had a few topics in mind that we want to do, but we want to we want to save some like the good ones. So we're like, let's just do it about paints, and it's been like our best performing episode ever, which is amazing. So yeah, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers, that would be amazing. And also click the like button to let us know that you are enjoying the content.
And if you're on Spotify or Amazon or whatever, click that review button or the follow on there or whatever that is as well, for those of you listening.
Yes.
Because that way we can keep the content coming and we can get wonderful guests like Callum on as well, who we've ignored for the last 5 minutes.
No,
So,
I've been enjoying the plug. To be fair, I've listened to it so many times. I could have done it for you as well. You know,
you know what?
I was tempted. I didn't want to upstage you, but I was tempted to just do it to see how you'd react.
Oh, you should, I'd have loved it. It'd been great.
Yeah.
Wait, delete that bit. Go back again.
Go back.
Go start again. But no, you know, we do appreciate that you I know you've been listening for since over the last few weeks. I think you've cannonballed every single episode, which is amazing.
I think I'm one behind. I think I've not listened to the late one yet, so that'll be tomorrow.
You might disagree with everything in that because you're a natural painter.
I'll leave a comment and let you know what I think.
Yeah, load of shite.
Yeah, you can let us know what you think in this. But yeah, one of our questions from our Patreon is around paints, paint brands that you like to use. So we'll kind of come onto that a little bit later on. So we've been going for 22 minutes and we've not
asked you a
really
single question
talked about anything to do with you, Callum. So
it's okay. I've been enjoying it. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I think you kind of gave yourself a little bit of an introduction as to kind of who you are, who you work for. So you work for Modiphius, who are kind of one of the 3 studio painters, did you say?
Yes, so we're a team of 4 in painting. We've got Julian, who is a studio terrain painter. There's myself. I'm kind of the most senior in that team, which just feels weird because I'm 27, which is it's bizarre. I'm senior in doing the role. It's not.
You're definitely not old enough.
I'm not the oldest. I don't think I'm the oldest in the team.
For those of you listening as well, he is very handsome.
That's very kind. Thank you.
You know that he's got that as well. The bastard.
I think you're building it up now. People are going to go click over to YouTube. They're going to hit subscribe when they do, and then they're going to be disappointed when they see my face.
Nah, not at all.
Not at all.
A rose between 2 thorns, my friend.
Thank you. So I'm one of the studio painters. We have Rosie, who is another one of our studio painters, and we have a third studio painter who has just joined us, is on probation, and didn't want me to say until they pass probation.
That's it.
Fair enough.
Mystery caller. I like to keep it mysterious.
Surprise!
I've seen your paint jobs. You'd never get anything finished.
Fuck you. I'd break the back of it, though.
Break the back of a load of them, wouldn't we? Pass it off to Callum to finish.
Getting grilled, that's
your reputation precedes you, Ollie.
Thank you very much. I will fail every challenge and I will continue to do so. So, Callum, right, let's think of this as like speed dating. Go.
Okay.
Right, sell yourself.
Okay.
Right.
As in like what I do or like how I got here. What's this?
Yeah. So I tell you what. Let's start. How long have you been painting for to begin with?
I started the hobby when I was 11. I think.
Wow.
2008. I was born in 1997, so that is 11. Yeah. Sorry. It's before 2000 though, isn't it? It's like
that's true.
You know, that's the
Wait, are you a millennial? Is that a millennial still?
I am. No, I think I'm Gen Z. I think 1990.
Oh my god!
Wait, you do a heart differently to us, don't you? We do that or something.
Oh, I'm millennial in culture. I'm like
that's
Gen
good.
Z category, but
I like it.
Rubbish.
I like it.
In my heart of hearts, I'm a 90s kid. You know.
I think so.
Yeah. So it was Assault on Black Reach 2008. That was my 5th edition. I split the set with my brother, and he then never painted any of the orcs, and he just didn't give a crap. But it was nice because he bought £20 worth of the half of the set, which would get into my pocket money. So thanks, James. And then I painted those. I did like the Sunday League that you do when you had a Games Workshop everywhere before the dark times where they shut a load of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and so I had painted mine and brought them in, and I'm sure the staff member was just being kind, but he was like, "These are really well painted," and I was like, "That's stored in my brain, that went into my memory banks of like what I'm gonna a career trajectory, as it were, which is strange now looking back at it.
It's amazing.
So I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm really good." And then I painted for a bit more. I stopped throughout secondary school because I didn't like getting bullied. As we were talking about, is it cool now? Well, I say we.
Yeah,
you guys. I'm on it now, so I'm we.
Yeah, you're part of this now.
You're in now.
You're part of it now.
But yeah, and it was like, yeah, it's nice now. I've kind of got like a little bit of resentment for people. It's like cool now. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know how tough it was back in the streets.
Easy days. Now,
it was
it's interesting to see that it was kind of the same, even kind of like a decade.
Yes, because it resonated very much what you were saying.
You're kind of like embarrassed of it, and
totally.
kind of, you kind of hid it from people, really. Do you know what
I guess
mean?
it only really became more popular with things like, I think some like Stranger Things.
I think that and like Marvel
D&D,
becoming
Marvel,
huge,
exactly.
like nerd culture really exploded then.
What was Marvel? I remember like 2008 or something.
Yeah, so about then, but it had like MCU really like kicked in like Avengers
a bit later.
which was what, like
2012, I think
that
was. Yeah,
I think mid 2010s or whatever is when it like all kicked off a bit more. Like Game of Thrones was big.
Yeah,
like Walking Dead, although not like nerdy necessarily, but like comic based, wasn't it? And then a lot more like animes are kicking off on Netflix now. So all of that's made it so much better. So yeah, it is interesting actually. Like 10 years later on, you still had the same experience we had, which is quite cool to
more
know.
or less.
You were bullied just as much as we were.
Well,
Great.
it was like it was worse. Like I joined the chess club, and they were cooler than the Warhammer club, which was it felt insane.
Wow.
I don't know. No shade to any chess players out there. It was strange.
Chess is cool now. What's the one that Anya Taylor-Joy? She did that chess one, didn't she? That made chess like pretty big. We've our 11-year-old. She's like a chess. There's like all the schools do like inter chess stuff now. They all play chess as like 11-year-olds. So like chess is cool now.
Hey, nobody like. I also think cringe culture's dead, which is really nice, and I'm glad it's dead. Like nothing's cringe anymore. You just you enjoy what you enjoy.
You do you. Yeah. Don't
which
yuck
is
somebody
lovely.
else's yum.
I'm side questing right now. I'm tangenting off.
Exactly.
But,
side quest, which is fun. It's all kind of based off Skyrim anyway. You're a Modiphius employee. Perfect.
Yeah, so it works. And there's the map back there.
Yeah, beautiful.
So yeah, and then I kind of got back into painting in university again, and I went to Edgehill University. It's important to the story, I promise. And I kind of started painting again. In fact, I had an appendicitis, and while I was recovering, I had appendicitis. I had my appendix removed. And while I was recovering, I just started painting again. I got my old models out, and I started painting for a little bit. As part of my university degree, I worked on like a games development project, and I worked with Crooked Dice Game Design Studio. I helped develop 7TV Pulp, which was one of their expansions for their base like game. And I got talking to Carl Perrotten, who is like the head of Crooked Dice, and he saw what I'd been painting and just was like, "Oh, you're pretty good. Do you want to do like some of the little bits and pieces here for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I got painting with Carl doing that. That was, let me check I've got it all written down here somewhere. That was in 2020 when I did the first like official commission for Crooked Dice. So this is about 5 years after I started at university. And then from there, it kind of spiraled in that Carl really helped get me where I am today. So Carl, if you are listening, thank you very much, and hit subscribe.
Yeah.
I just kind of did bits and pieces for Carl, and then he recommended me to Annie at Bad Squiddo Games, and I did a couple of pieces for Annie, and then I was also recommended to Alan at White Dragon Miniatures. So I just basically did like a lot of scattergun kind of freelance bits and pieces as I was working as a barista to pay the wages. And then COVID kind of hit, and I was furloughed, and so then I just really started working hard at getting better at painting. It was kind of a blessing. I know it was a terrible time for so many people, but it was just like I had all this time at home to paint. So I capitalized on it as best I could and tried to get as good as I could. And the wealth of content out there now in like Infernal Brush, Travarian, like true professional, like former Golden Demon winners, just sharing that knowledge is just amazing. Again, another reason I'm like a little bit bitter now that people start painting now, and like 2 years later, they're better than I am. It's like there's so much content. Back when I was a kid, it was White Dwarf or nothing.
Yeah. Exactly the same.
For me, it was like the battle games in Middle Earth magazines, which is like paint green, paint other green, and like that's pretty much it. Even like the ones after like 90, was it 90 issues? Like they were still really like super basic compared to. And I think it's very difficult to show techniques in pictures.
I could talk more to that later as well.
Yeah.
The advent of YouTube's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that has definitely made a huge difference to the whole kind of industry. And do you know what? Like, I know you were saying that 2020 was kind of bad for a lot of people, but do you know what? For this hobby,
Games Workshop exploded as well, didn't they?
I think every game system kind of exploded. The amount of people that I probably wouldn't have been doing YouTube without having that opportunity to kind of.
Feels bad to say, doesn't it? It's like
not other
so
stuff
many people
to do,
died, so many people's lives were ruined. But it really helped. It's awful.
I think you've got to look for the positives within the negatives as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of interesting. But the not the annoying thing, like it kind of feels like that was so recent. I feel like you should have been painting for like
Yeah.
15, 20 years. Do you
No,
know what I mean?
it's-
To get to the step to where you are now. Like you like clearly your progression has been very quick if you kind of
That's
only
very-
picked it up in 2020. Do you
It's
know what I
very
mean?
kind of you to say. Yeah, it's been about, well, I picked it up in about 2016, 17. But like, I've been a professional is if it pays most of your wages, isn't it? That's the official definition. But I have been being paid to paint for about 5 years now.
Out of interest, did you take, like, so obviously, you've been painting a long time. Did you take any lessons, or was it just YouTube content
No, all
and stuff that they were
self-taught.
using?
Well, I mean, self-taught, as in, that's a lie. So I don't have any, not a lie. It feels like an untruth in that I had so many resources and I had a lot of help from people, but I never had formal training. I've never trained as an artist. I went to university to study creative writing, which is how I got onto the game design course.
So
I was in
like,
creative fields,
yeah.
but it's writing an art, I suppose, is the hobby an art. I think it is.
But that does seem to be a lot. So I was fortunate enough to get invited to the Horus Heresy event a couple of years ago, right? And there's a lot of creators there, and so many of us like have a similar background somewhere in some sort of creative field, whether it's film, writing. Look at Lachlan does script writing. Luke does whatever. Like there's so much like creative elements. I myself am a singer, actor, musician, self-trained, and all that kind of stuff as well. And like you say, right now, the repository for learning online, whether or not you sign up to a Patreon is one thing, whether or not you just watch free content. And if you wanted to just watch content on how to do NMM, there's probably 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, infinite more videos than you could probably watch on various people doing that technique. And you could just practice. Then you can go and look at like cylinders and cubes and circles to figure out what. Do you know what I mean? There's so much a vast wealth of knowledge out there to go and learn. And if you put the time in, you can get good. And we actually did an episode a couple of weeks, well, it was with Dave, where we were talking about golden demon painters and stuff, right? And people, and like, there is certainly, I think there's like a natural ability in some people to be very good at something very quickly, right? It could be whatever. Like my particular like thing I'm quite good at like fact retention. I'm very good at, I studied law, I studied psychology. So a lot of that's case studies, right? And I was always very good at that. Something I'm not very good at is like, I don't know how a car works or a computer, right? I've just never been like bitty, never been like that kind of stuff, but always been able to like picture stuff and then find a way to try and relate that or to someone else. So it's interesting, like you must be more of that side then if you've
as a hands-on kind of learner.
Yeah, were you good when you like just started? Do you know what I mean? Like when you just obviously we were all a bit shit when we started. Like, but I mean, like
if you want to look at back at the very start of my Instagram, I wasn't very good when I started back. I've always been creative. I think that's, as you say, part of it is that there's always some kind of like a lot of tattoo artists become very good painters, and there's like kind of there is always the I think in that sense of an interest in creating something. Because that's what we are doing. We're creating art in little miniature form, innit?
It's kind of a bit painful actually that the term like influence or like content creator kind of gets thrown around more rather than artist.
Yeah,
not to say all of it is art, but like I think it does diminish like those abilities.
Oh yeah, influencer doesn't capture what you're doing.
Like, you're not an influencer. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not a content creator.
You wield
you're
influence.
An artist.
That's not what you're doing. You're creating things, aren't you? You're creating videos.
I hate that term. I hate content creator.
Yeah.
Just for me, like I don't know. This is very much a tangent. I think it's something we're going to cover off in another one, which we keep kind of saying that we're going to do the YouTube episode.
one. I'm waiting for it.
We I feel like I'm not quite there yet, but the truth about being
let's see if I can.
I keep saying let's do it, and you're like.
I feel like I just need. I think it might be even a two-parter. I don't think I can get it all across in like one. Like the amount of frustration there is around kind of doing YouTube episode. And stuff. Literally, it could well be. But I think like content creators, like there's people out there that create content, and content for me is just like how and I'm guilty of it. Like you're scrolling through reels and I don't do TikTok, but like I suppose reels is like the best of TikTok almost, but. It's just drivel and nonsense, and all of a sudden you've lost like an hour to it, and I've watched nothing of any substance whatsoever.
Nothing that you've learned anything from, or
exactly. Whereas, like I think if you like, don't get me wrong, not all my content like is something like, but I like to think that it's kind of I guess entertaining and like I think of it as a video rather than as content, if that makes sense. Like I'm making a video like
there's intent behind it.
Yeah, it's not just I've done it with a purpose rather than it just being like I need to make a video. I need to
feed the algorithm kind of thing.
Exactly.
But you get punished for that too, though, right? So like YouTube wants you to do more, Instagram wants you to do more, wants you to post every day. So it really sort of, for me, I've struggled occasionally with sort of, I mean, so you must get this yourself, Callum, a lot probably, where like, you know, you're working and you're painting something, and regardless of whether it's for the studio for yourself or, you know, like I think we're all of us here, it becomes part of your work. It stops sort of that self, you don't really paint for yourself, right? As much, or do those things for yourself. You might have a project or two that you're passionate about, but generally it's for work.
Yeah.
And like all of that kind of just forces like you have to do something, Obviously, we're all very grateful. I'm very grateful that my job is what it is, and I'm allowed those opportunities. But the reality still is like that is your job, and it's as much the same as any other job where like, you know, you go home and that's your life, not your job. But I find this industry a little bit more where like it all kind of like sticks together. You know, it's hard to separate for me personally, work from life, and my hobby is this. So like, where's that line gone? Like 10 years ago, I'd said, oh, sure, I'd love to sit and paint a load of Imperial Fists. Now it's like, okay, I'll do it for a video or not. So I often wonder, someone like that, there aren't many people in your position, to be honest. Right? How many jobs are there in the world for a studio painter? For like, how many companies are there that have that even? 50, 40?
Even that, I mean, Games Workshop have Heavy Metal.
Like, sure, Warlord, Games Workshop, Modiphius.
And I don't know beyond that. A lot of them are all freelance then. Halo Flashpoint was all freelance, I think.
And that's Mantic Games, right? Then there's things like Loot Studios, there's whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe there's 40, 50 gaming companies out there in the world.
But to be actually an employed, like a part of the company
painter,
is incredibly rare.
Are there even 100 jobs in the world? I don't know. That are think of outside of Games Workshop. How many are
there? That's the thing, isn't it? It's think outside the monolith. And there aren't. That's why I'm very grateful to Modiphius.
So what a position to be in, and well done to yourself for doing that. And like you say, there's a lot of ways in, right? Like I think both Benji and I can thank like Luke Fellows, Geek Gaming / Luke's APS.
I can as well, to be honest, because Luke was a big factor when I was getting back into the hobby. I won't lie.
I think he was for all of us, and he helped me a lot back in the early days. I didn't know him, and he gave me. Yeah, he's still alive. He said to us that, but he's still, you know, I didn't know him, and he offered his time freely to help me. And like you say, you had someone help you in the way up, and all those things are so important to get you into the positions you're in, and that comes by being personable as well, and being likable, and being good at your job and professional. So yeah, so well done for doing that. And like for yourself, does that feel like, you know, like how to phrase this? Yeah, does that feel to you like, you know, that's like do you realise that position? Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you know how lucky you are, son?
Yeah, do you know how fucking lucky you are, kid, to be there? But like, it's amazing, and that's through your own work and dedication as well, and skill. So it's just awesome.
You hit the nail on the head. Beyond lucky, like it's so incredibly lucky. There is an element of talent. You have to be lucky to get into the room. But when you get into the room, you've got to perform, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a combination of luck and skill, and also you can kind of create your own luck in terms of you can manufacture more and more opportunities to get you into the... I'm actually going to circle this really nicely back, kind of got halfway through. Not that saying anyone interrupted me, that's not what I'm saying. But
it was me, wasn't it? Yeah,
somebody did. You can increase your chances by putting yourself into those positions and trying, you know, pushing yourself out there without being too pushy. So I started doing all those freelance commissions, and then eventually just a job appeared at War Games Illustrated. Actually, sadly, that position no longer exists. They just freelance all their stuff. I think I broke them when I left. It was very sad.
It's gone now, never do it again.
Was that fairly recent, like in the last couple of years?
War Games Illustrated. Hang on 1 second. You'll see my face.
Prepared. I love this.
I was at War Games Illustrated from November 21, November 22, October. So I did a full year at War Games Illustrated. They just put up a job advertising, an in-house painter. The imposter syndrome, everyone here will know exactly what it feels like, and I'm sure it came up actually as part of our onboarding process for our new hire in the studio team. About, they were like, I'm sorry, I'm just checking. It's imposter syndrome. I was like, please, everyone here has that. It's don't feel bad, don't feel you have to excuse yourself or explain yourself. But yeah, I just put myself forward. I was like, hey, if the worst comes to the worst, they'll say no. And I applied. I didn't actually get the job initially because I was remote. They did advertise it remote, but they were hoping that someone might be able to come in and do a little bit of travel, which wasn't really feasible because, as we've mentioned earlier, I still don't know how to drive. So
whereabouts are you based?
I'm in a little town outside Preston, so I'm not too far from you.
What's your exact address, postcode, phone number, date of birth, and passport?
I can say
details,
Leyland.
Please.
I live in Leyland, a town called.
Oh, there you go. You're really not that far at all.
We should probably maybe play a game. I do have some some Minas Tirith that I haven't painted. You could battle against.
So in 8 years' time, once you kind of got those painted, then we can have a game.
Yeah, when it's like three editions later. But I was at War Games Illustrated, and the reason I'm tangentially moving to this is that we got sent.
Word.
Thank you. We got sent a bunch of Modiphius products at War Games Illustrated, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." You know, I've played Skyrim. I've not played Fallout yet, but these kind of cool models. So we painted them up for an article, and I kind of thought, "Hey, this Modiphius company looks pretty good. I'm going to share this in all of their groups and areas, just to try and generate some interest, even if it's just for my own like personal brand of Callum Paints." Sorry, my mic there. But that was me trying to create that opportunity by going into their space and being like, "Hey, look what I'm doing." And then from that, I got headhunted by Modiphius, and then ended up employed there, which was incredibly lucky. But it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't shared it into their groups. They might not have seen it.
No, of course. I think you've got to advocate for yourself at
Totally.
the end of the day. You've got to put yourself into those positions to be able to kind of generate those sorts of opportunities.
And I've been doing that for like 3 years while I was doing freelance stuff, and I just had no bites because that's just the game, innit?
Do you know, I love that actually that you'd say that, because just like I said myself, like I was an actor really from about, I kind of got, I would say like a lucky break when I was like 17, 18 and went off and did a show. I missed a Christmas period at college and came back, and then when I got the shows kind of roll one off the other, right? But and people often say, you'd get lucky, right? That's lucky. But it doesn't really quite work that way. It's not like, sure, for some people it does. Absolutely. You go to one audition, but like I say, you got to get, first off, you got to get yourself through the door, right? And that's where the luck is involved. What makes my CV any better? What makes my headshot any better? But when you're through the door, you take the best you can and you do the best of the opportunity. And my hit rate from like going to an audition to getting the job is quite high, I think. Normally, I think they might find me quite likable or whatever. I don't think I'm a particularly good actor or singer or musician, but I think like I can talk.
I got that Riz.
Shite. Yeah, I got Riz. You're Gen Z. I got that Gen Z.
It's been revealed. Oh no.
I got. Don't be so Sigma. No, Ohio Riz. That's next, isn't it? So yeah, exactly that. Like you go through the door and you make the best, and then you say you get an opportunity, you push again.
Yes.
Right, and you go. I've made a job. Now I'm in a job. Where can we go next? And you push on and you push on. So it's very much the same in all those industries, all those creative industries.
Anything creative, yeah.
You make your own luck to a degree.
Degree.
People even say to me now, we've got I have my own shop. We've got the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, I think, was launched at a good time with a good support. They're like, would I really stand out now? No, but 6 years ago, camera and work-wise, probably was decent. But now everything's kind of caught up, right? But with the shop, people often say you're very lucky. You can be at home with the kid whenever you like. You can be at home with the baby. That's not luck. That's me like needing a filter to not look like a dead human. That's hard. That's dedication and that's commitment and that's hard work. So like all those things, and I feel very much the same. I never realized really, like yourself, Benji or Lachlan, the effects of having a baby and how much that like.
I don't think anybody realizes it. Like,
ruins your life, right? And kills all your free time.
I'm again in like 5 years, and you'll
Look how you'll have as little hair as me, and like,
filtered up. Yeah, what happened to Callum? It's his 15 years older brother. But it is that. So like, it's funny to see that comparison between those different industries. Yeah. And for you, obviously, it's a great opportunity and it's cool and it's something. And you're obviously improving, painting a lot, and it's great to have. Like, I literally see your work every day at the shop. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's there on the shelf. I didn't know that. So it's lovely to put a face to that. And I guess, for you, were you to give advice to other sort of commission painters or people looking to move into studio jobs and looking to try and steal your job? What would the kind of advice be to sort of improve, regardless of through content or Patreons or lessons? How do you feel that journey's gone for you? And what sort of advice would you give to someone else looking to get better, like myself? How do I paint like you?
That's a really good question. So first of all, if you try to take my job, try and catch me, kid. No.
Old man.
No, because it's the young whippersnappers, isn't it? Nipping at your heels.
Yeah. Coming up.
I say that as a 27-year-old man. Yeah. It's a great question.
Boy.
Yeah. Shut up, Benji, you old bastard.
What did you say, young man?
You kind of touched on it in a previous episode in that it's challenging yourself if you really want to get better. And I'm lucky now because, I've got so much, it sounds arrogant, but it's the truth in that if you look at the stuff that I did at the start when I was at Modiphius and now, I'm technically just much sharper. And I can do much more. Like when I first got the job, I'd kind of done non-metallic metal a little bit, but not really. I'd never done object source lighting. I'd done one attempt at it and it was dreadful. And like painting skin, that has completely evolved how I glaze now. And it's like I wouldn't necessarily have had those challenges, and if I hadn't just been forced to do it, like there was no failure. I had to. You've got to paint this glowing green radioactive mutant man. You've got to, that's the job. You've got 2.5 days. See you at the end or whatever. And it was like, it's terrifying a little bit, but I kind of thrive on that. So as part of when we talk about the personalities that, you're more task oriented or something. I thrive the challenge. I seek the challenge, and that's what I really enjoy. I'd love sometimes. It's terrifying. Depends how I feel, my mood at the time. But like, if you an impossible task or whatever, it's like, yeah, how am I gonna do that? And it's exciting. So pushing yourself and not just painting blue all the time, trying new techniques. Obviously, master the basics. You want to, be able to apply a smooth base coat and a clean edge highlight, but don't then just like get hung up on like, I've got to perfect that. Try throw another thing in. Try and do a glowing blue sword on that Space Marine, that kind of thing. And you learn so much about light, and especially with non-metallic metal and object source lighting as well, like shape and light and materials, and how those different kind of factors are affected by light, and how you can create those kind of variations in color and light values. So I think if you are trying to get better, grab a new box, maybe from Modiphius or from Games Workshop, whoever you want to, buy it from Broadsword Wargaming. And
well said,
well done.
But you grab a different set, even if it's just one character that you're not going to play in an army. But if you truly do want to, either paint to display, maybe to Golden Demon, or if you want to do it as a living, which you should, because it's great. I love my job. But don't take my job. You try something new, a new challenge. Something that's out your comfort zone. You'll probably fail the first time. That's fine. Nobody nails it the first time. Since I've joined Modiphius, I think I've had 3 models rejected, which it doesn't sound like loads, but it's a fair amount. It's I don't get through
when
loads.
A model do you kind of get feedback on why things are rejected? Because
yes,
I think this is something that I kind of asked you when we met. Actually, is kind of, do you get semi-related to what I've done in the past? Like, I've worked in kind of product development, and I've worked kind of alongside Disney to kind of develop some products, and they're so strict on like what Pantone you use for.
So this is exactly.
So, I'm sure you get kind of color guides and references and things like that from, Modiphius, not from Modiphius, from Bethesda.
From Bethesda,
is it Bethesda? Yeah.
Whichever IP we're holding, yeah. You said in that video, sorry, I'm cutting you off. Have I?
No, you take over, Callum. Get rid of Benji.
Sorry.
He's boring.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You're more articulate than I am.
I could talk everybody's ears off. Yes, essentially, when you mentioned that in one of the previous episodes, I was like, oh man, that reminds me. It was for the Raiders Plastics. We normally put together briefs. That's what is given to us. So we have a brief document which has reference images. We've also got a program which can pull assets out of Bethesda engine games, so we can look at them in 3D without like any lighting. So it kind of just gives us more of an idea of like, oh, that's a leather pouch or whatever, stuff like that. But one of the reference images we had was from a mod. It wasn't from Bethesda. It wasn't an official asset that had been put like by accident into this brief. And so I was like, that looks sick. I'm going to paint it just like that. And then I had to repaint the whole thing because it was not official.
Can you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it was just a Raider power armor. It's not any.
Right, okay.
It was. I can find you an image if you want. It was a Raider like power armor mod for Fallout 4. It had like stop signs welded onto the armor and stuff. Like the panels were like pieces of old tech that they just welded on. It looked really cool. And I was gutted when John, my boss, said you've got to repaint that thing. So I had to just make it plain old rusted metal because that's the IP. Yes, so as part of that, we have those brief documents. We've got that the asset. It's called NIFScope, the program, to look at assets. And once that's all done, we'll then do an approvals process where I'll take the images that you probably see on Instagram, because I just try to use my own images because it feels if I have a bad break with Modiphius, at least I've got those. It's like I'll be on in 5 years. Like Modiphius ruined Warhammer.
Yeah, perfect title.
You've done
it. But yeah. So we'll then do approvals with my manager, who will then look at them, try and find any technical issues with it. So like, there's a bit of an errant brushstroke here. Is that a bit of fluff, whatever? And then that'll be approved. And then, so how it works currently is our IP holders don't approve the paint job. They then approve the box. So, which feels a bit late if we've got an issue with the paint job.
Whoops.
We normally catch it internally. My boss is very good at doing that. He's in his position for a reason. He's really good at kind of monitoring that. So then it goes onto the box, and then the box is approved or rejected. But I don't think we've had any rejected yet. So
So, and do you yourself, obviously, when you got these briefs and these guides, and you say you've had a couple, whatever, over the years, rejected, obviously, but like, do you like the rest of us? Do you like mess up and start again? Is that something you still do, or do you kind of just crack through and improve it, or do you go like, right, that's rubbish, go again?
It's very rare that I have the opportunity to start again 100%. Normally, it will be slow to start in terms of base coat, trying to mix the right shade of color for Raider X's jacket, or to get the right kind of shade of blue or whatever. So that typically takes the longest. And there will be some times where I've done a few stages of highlights and gone, it's not turning out to be the right color, back to base coat, start again. But I'm getting quite good at catching it early. I've got kind of like a gut feeling of like, this doesn't feel right. The color's not moving in the way I want it to. Because again, I've not been formally trained in terms of color theory, and I really wish I had. But my parents told me that the sciences would be more of a useful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, suck it. Look at this now. It's a real job.
Do you know what? Like, I actually
love you, Mum.
I actually had this conversation with my mum and dad the other day. I was like, I wish I'd done something more like artistic, creative. Like for me, like I know this is a slight tangent here, but like woodwork when I was in school was always seen as like a dunce kind of like class sort of thing. Like it was always like the,
in Yorkshire.
Yeah, people who are really going to do anything. It's like, I wish I'd carried on doing woodwork. Like that would just been like amazing. But anyway, yeah. So the arts were never really kind of encouraged as such. It was always like, science was always kind of valued. But I back to the original point. Obviously, you never did really any color theory or anything like that. But look at you now, and you could have made use of that.
I've kind of started to learn it and see it, even if I can't. If it's not, I couldn't exactly tell you why I picked orange to go with that blue, but I know it's I know because it's it's opposite and across on the color wheel. But like it's in my brain. I'm going, this will. It's
innate, right?
Pardon?
And it's like innate.
It becomes innate. It becomes learned. I think not necessarily innate. It becomes learned just by doing it, by going, why is this not working? Why is this color of blue not mixing quite right? Oh, I need a magenta to put into the recesses to give it that pop or whatever.
It's so interesting, honestly. Like I find I've never really discussed with someone who works in your position or anything, or even other people in other art spheres. But like I'm very similar with music. I'm untrained, right? But I can write a song, and I think reasonable songs and reasonable music, but self-trained. But it's like I hear it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like or in your gut,
it's a gut
that's
feeling,
wrong.
Isn't it? Yeah,
just doesn't sound right. Like then something else needs to go there. So it's so funny, like that. There's like it's art.
It is. Let me tell you, it's useless when you're trying to onboard a new member of the team and they go, what's your house style? And I go, I don't know. Watch me do it for 2 days. And then it's like, codify what that is. It's fun. It's why heavy metal is so useful as a scheme, as I defined. They've really nailed that down in terms of like, this is exactly what it is. It's chunky edge highlight and then sharp edge highlight and then maybe a dot highlight on the corners. It's like, it's so easy to train and teach to their team. So fair play to Games Workshop. I need to do that for Modiphius. I think something like that.
Fair enough. So talk us through, obviously, how long have you been with Modiphius now, did you say? Sorry.
This is my third year. Three years in November.
And in that time, obviously, how many miniatures would you say you've painted for them?
No, I think
$1 billion of miniatures, yeah.
Between the team, I think what was it? Over 200, I think.
Wow.
But so this is it's only just over 2 years. It was November, so that's 4 months now?
Yeah.
3 months on top of that. So it's probably more than that now. We calculated it at the end of the year.
So what's been your favourite model that you've painted for Modiphius so far?
They change a lot, 'cause just based on like those like checkpoints that I hit, that I'm like, feel like I've really nailed that. One of my most recent favourites is the Mass Effect board game pieces that I did.
Oh yeah, I
really enjoyed, because I'm a big Fallout fan now, and because when I got the job, I then immediately went and played Fallout 4 all the way through because I felt like I needed the required reading. I played Skyrim obviously, and I'm looking forward to get the chance to paint on that line. I like painting. It's funny actually. Whatever I'm painting for the studio, I'll do like the opposite line in my free time. So if I'm painting a lot of Fallout, I'll just start painting Skyrim in my free time. It's like I'm burned out a little bit with whatever the thing is.
I suppose it's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
but similar, but completely different, as you say. I'm really proud of those Mass Effect board game pieces because I feel like they were a new checkpoint in terms of like object source lighting. They were kind of like semi-non-metallic metal. They were kind of shiny-ish, and they're quite tiny. So I was really happy with lots of the freehander stuff on those. I just finished a really big project today, which I'm very proud of, that I can't talk about. But I think when that comes out, that'll be the new checkpoint,
Amazing. You painted? Did you painted the ghoul? Was that on the box?
I
art,
did.
or
I
was
did.
Was that for yours? For your
No,
personal
so
kind of collection?
again, that was an issue of timing there because that was quite a quick turnaround on creating that product. Yes, I painted the Fallout LA characters. I forget the name of that box, but the ghoul, Lucy,
Hollywood Stars or
Hollywood
something.
Heroes.
it was Hollywood
Heroes.
Heroes. Is that what
Yeah.
it came out as?
Yeah,
That was the working title for a long time.
Mm.
Yeah, I did those 4 characters. It was cool actually because we got to see some of the assets a little early before the show came out, which was really cool. I think I could say that.
That was
That's
what
fine.
something I was gonna. Surely, like you would have had to.
Well, yeah.
Because obviously somebody would have had to sculpt it, and
Exactly.
obviously you needed to know what you were painting. So
Yeah,
I think that's kind of understandable that you would have had some
some help from
prior
that.
kind of knowledge of that. Like that for me, it's kind of elevated. Like, don't get me wrong, like Fallout is such a massive IP. For me, I don't know, obviously maybe I'm a bit biased because I love Fallout, like it's a huge IP, but then obviously it's on TV, like now.
So lucky. As a company, let me tell you, we were like,
yes,
it's
imagine,
good.
yeah.
Thank goodness, it's good.
Yeah,
It ain't no Halo. Do you know what I mean?
I know, I'm so sad.
but it was but
I'm not working there now. That's the.
It was an absolute banger of a series as well. So like, did like Modiphius see like an uptick in sales off the back of that, or
Yeah. Just a small little one.
Of course.
Just we've only just finished restocking what sold out. In like 'cause
Wow.
we had like the Black Friday sale shortly after. I think it was about that
Yes.
time, wasn't it, when it came out?
Yeah.
I think I can't remember.
It
but
was.
them?
It was April when it. So in fact, even we
It
as
was
a
early.
store,
It might have been an Easter sale or something. We had. There was.
yeah, it was mad. We Kira and I did the Fallout video.
Yes, you did.
On
Yeah,
YouTube.
to
It
tie into
got about 80,000 views or something. Came out. Obviously, we timed that up with you guys.
Steve was very happy with
And-
that video.
I mean, to be honest, it's for a box video. Like for us, it's a little like box videos. Like Benji would probably say, like it's kind of dedicated videos can be quite difficult to sell the product, right? Without it looking like an advert.
Shill.
But like exactly, and it just is, right? But like it's a good game. It's a good product. The models are cool. It's fun, and it obviously is coming out at a great time when the series is doing well. So for us as a shop, we sold out of copies, and I know you guys did because we couldn't restock them.
Yes, sorry.
And like it was a fucking nightmare. Because like people were like, oh,
we
you know,
could
got
not create them fast enough.
yeah.
Let me
They're
tell
like,
you.
oh, I've got like 10 people. They've got those Fallout boxes and stuff. It's like,
I'd like to take a small percentage of that for the paint jobs that obviously circulated social media. That was clearly what it was, not the
But
hit
yeah,
show.
definitely.
But like, so-
Definitely, yeah.
so huge. So like, I guess you guys are hoping Elder Scrolls 6 or Skyrim 2.
I hope it comes out. I'm fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
I was just looking through your Instagram, and yes, I do remember all the Mass Effect pictures.
So,
and man, they're so good.
thank you very
They're so
much.
good.
That reminds
God
me
damn.
back to the point because nothing is circular. We're just jumping in and out. Creating those
Side quest,
opportunities
baby.
for yourself. I painted before I joined War Games Illustrated. I painted the Whiterun Guard models. They were Stormcloak skirmishers, but I painted them as Whiterun Guard, and I shared them in the Elder Scrolls group to try and get a bit of interest. Didn't take, but and so then I just tried again with Fallout. It's don't feel discouraged, I think, is another
Is that
part
the
of
Yellow
that.
Lads
Keep
back
going.
in 2022? Yes,
There
I
you
see.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. To be fair, I say it feels like a lot has
2021.
changed.
Jesus.
A lot has
Yeah.
changed in my life these last 4 years in a great way. But yeah, so it doesn't sound that long to outsiders, but to me, I'm like 4 years ago, man, I didn't buy a house. I wasn't married. It was like I didn't have a dog. It's a huge thing.
What
Good
happens?
times.
Yeah.
Great times. I'm very lucky.
You do love painting. You do love painting a leg, don't you?
It's the joke. The joke is
Everyone loves painting a leg.
between my
Do you wanna, like,
friends.
finish
It's
a
always
model at some point?
their left leg. Sorry, their right leg, the left, looking at them. It's always the same leg, and I didn't realize I was doing it. I'll do it one thing, and then I'll be like, because that's the challenge thing. I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can do it as heavy metal as I can. All right, cool. I feel like I've hit it, and then I lose interest because there's no challenge. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like
Yeah, you've done it now.
I'm like, I could do this for the rest of the model, but I've got a lot to do. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
but I need to get out of that mentality a little bit. But yeah, that's
Broke the back of the paint job. didn't you?
exactly.
That's
I'm
it.
like, the legs the start. I'll get back to that later. And then I've just in my cabinet, I've just got legs every. It's like Titus
so
is literally
many
just a leg. It's
legs.
like a smoking leg.
You've even done the base as well.
Yeah, because it looks nice. It's like the thing of painting just the front of the model. I just do the leg.
Yeah. I do like a snow base as well. I see you've got a lot of snow bases in
So,
those Mass Effect.
the
ones.
Mass Effect
Snow's
ones-
so good for contrast. It's
That
so
was a
good.
new one because I had to create a snow scheme for that, and I was like, I've not really done snow before. That would be interesting. So I think that might be a video I'll make because I think it came out
Oh, no,
pretty
that's
good.
Snow is the way, man. Snow is the best.
Yeah, it's not to bring it back to Middle Earth, but the
here
new
we
box
go
was
again.
I know.
Elrond.
Elrond. The latest box had Rohan versus Dunland in it, and obviously there's the siege of Helm's Deep. And it's all in snow, and like I keep looking at the hillmen, and I keep going, I'd love to do like them with a really like nice snowy base and things. So yeah, do a tutorial on it, and then I can copy that, and then I can make a video on it as well.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, Benji, if you watch my channel, there might be a snow video or two in there. But,
yeah, but I want a professional to show me how to do it.
The thing is that the majority of your income is your shop and your YouTube, so that you are a professional. Legally.
Yeah, professional wanker.
I suppose, fair play. Yeah.
So co-host Callum and Ben.
Have I been kicked out of my own podcast? How did that happen? Right. Well, I'm taking your job, Callum. I'm gonna learn. Give me them Mass Effect models.
They're very nice, aren't they? But I'll say, sorry, the sculpts. I mean, not my paint jobs. Yeah. 3D team. In terms of, like, I do want to. They are stressed. They are immensely talented. I'm very lucky to be part of that process. That is part of our job, is that we get to sit in the 3D meetings and give our feedback on what we think will make a good miniature in terms of painting, which is really nice. And they don't tell us to bugger off. They actually listen to what we think, which is really lovely. But yeah, they did insane work getting those Hollywood Heroes models made so quickly, because we didn't have the most time to make them. But they're amazing. Like Lucy just looks, it's like, it's insane, the likeness. At that scale, like, it's mental. Joanna did that one. But they're all immensely talented.
Something we've kind of talked about in a previous video is, especially with things that are like franchises and things like that, it always feels like there's obviously a limited pool of things to pull from. Like, you've kind of done pretty much every character from kind of Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas. I think you're working your way almost through 76.
76.
Now.
The beautiful thing about 76 is they just keep adding things.
It keeps growing.
I'm like,
yeah, I know. I know.
That's another way.
That's a really, really kind of cool way, I guess, of kind of keeping things going. Do you think you'll kind of revisit some of the older stuff at some point, or do you think that's kind of, while 76 is still kind of, there's still stuff being added, that will that just kind of continue?
Got to be careful what I say here.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, no, yeah. I do. Yes, we're always looking back, and we're always interested in making meaningful additions that will change the game, that aren't just another character necessarily.
Wow,
It has to
so
have
corporate.
I know. I'm sorry. It sounds sickening, doesn't it? It's got to have like some kind of gameplay. Like, we try not to sell miniatures because we did it with the dragon for a long time. We try not to sell a miniature without rules. Just because it's cool. Because it's a very cool model,
But it ain't no use. So yeah,
but yeah, it's a paperweight for a long time for people. So yes, I think so. But I'm really interested to see how 76 does, because it is kind of new. It's not Bethesda main studio, is it? That is like doing the additions now.
I've no idea. To be honest, 76. I've tried playing it. It's not.
It's a very different gameplay experience.
It's shite. No, it's different.
But it's got. I think the monsters are some of the best. Even if you don't like how it plays and like because I'll agree, it's difficult sometimes trying to listen to the story in audio tapes while you're playing with your friends and they're chatting to you in your ear. You're like, shut up! I know I asked you to come and play with me, but shut up! I'm listening to the story.
It's a trick to that. Just have no friends.
Yeah, well, you can play solo, true. But yeah, I think the monsters, like the Sheep Squatch, the Scorch Beast Queen, the Scorch Beasts themselves are like immensely cool. The Wendigo Colossus, which I have painted, and that's actually one of the ones that I'm really, really proud of.
Yes,
the Wendigo Colossus. They're such
hideous.
Cool. It is. They're awful
in a good way.
Yeah. I was sending it to Steve when I finished. I'm like, what do you think? He's like, I hate it. Well done.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. So talk us through kind of your typical day then. How would you kind of structure your day? Do you kind of get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, or start
roll out of bed
at 9 o'clock
2 minutes to 9, and then make the exhaustive walk to my office?
Wearing just a shirt and some pants on a Zoom call.
Yes. So typically we are, and what I'm very grateful for is we are not micromanaged. We are very much just trusted to do our jobs. And that's a two-way street. We always do our jobs, so it's not, there's no reason not to trust us. But yeah, we're given a lot of latitude in how we approach it. But typically, I'll try and get up at like 7:30. I'll try. Sometimes I'll start early. Well, I work 9 to 5 is our office hours, and you've got to be available for those hours. But you can kind of start a bit early if you want, as long as you're accessible after you're finished. So I'll start work. Normally, if you've got a project going, we have a weekly check-in on Monday, which is like an hour meeting, maybe just under, where we'll just give our feedback to our boss of what we're up to this week, any roadblocks, anything we need any help with, or like to check with the team or whatever. If I need help, say with a scheme if I'm struggling with a certain technique or whatever, and then we'll just start painting. To be honest, it's tough. What I do love about the job is the variety. We've announced it, so I can talk about it. Hard Wars is coming out,
and this is the 6 mil.
Yes,
game, isn't it? Yes, yeah.
I think we just put an announcement like today.
Today, I think, an email came out today with like I saw that.
Did it have the mini
factions?
Yeah, did it have the miniatures in the email?
Yes.
So so I painted one of those factions. Rosie painted the other, and they were such a unique challenge. They were very different to the style of Fallout, and it was like, how do you create the house style? But what you do is you go, heavy metal do really good. I really like how heavy metal do things. Maybe we could do that. So we kind of formulated like, are we going to do true metallics? How many highlight layers we're going to do, stuff like that. But yeah, some weeks you're doing that. You're doing sometimes that's a month if it's a huge project. You're doing 6 mil tiny little fiddly edge highlights. Finicky, I was going to say, not anything else. And then sometimes you've got a huge monster like a Wendigo Colossus or something as your next project. And so it's lovely getting to do that. Each day is a bit different, which is lovely. I've said lovely a lot, but yeah, that's
it's all lovely.
It is lovely jubbly. You normally I've got the 3D meeting as well, which I join in, and kind of that's the way they basically show us what they're sculpting at the moment, if they've any technical questions and stuff like that, and it's really nice. I've learned so much about miniatures because like your direction of draw on your plastics. Because we have a plastic specialist in Colin Grayson, and it's just like amazing to hear what goes behind. As a consumer, you don't think about half of this stuff when it's like cool model.
Yeah,
I totally. I think we've talked about that. I think we talked about it as kind of 3D printing. There's so many people out there now that are designing miniatures and kind of selling STLs and stuff like that. And I think, don't get me wrong, there are some really great designers out there. But I also think there are a lot of
model designers as well.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You can be a great sculptor, but not a great miniature sculptor.
Exactly, and you need to kind of have that that face that is almost like your I don't know what you call it in miniature, but like that dominant face, like that's the one that you kind of tend to look at.
Your
most,
golden angle,
like the golden angle, yeah,
totally.
And obviously that's really important.
Silhouette model as well is huge.
There's a lot to think about. There's a lot more than people kind of generally give credit for, and people, you kind of get people like, oh, it's set on a tactical rock, and all that.
There's a reason. That's
about,
the draw direction. That tactical rock. Let me tell you,
exactly,
that's why it's there.
Exactly.
I saw a post actually. It was like, oh yeah, so you don't want tactical rocks, bang, and it was a load of models they'd done where they're not on tactical rocks,
and they
just
stood flat, square,
A shapes. Yep. Yeah, there you go. And there's that's
same
why
with purity seals. It's like you don't want a purity seal on there. It's because they had to do the draw direction that way, and they had to hide the draw line.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
It's fascinating. But yeah, there's so much. So I do want to big up the 3D. Like, it's fascinating, and I love it that people want to talk to me and are excited about my job. But we are very much like the very finishing touch. Like, there is such a huge, part of work, a body of work that goes on before we even get to see the model. But I think it's interesting. People like listening to the painting and talking about the painting because it's the bit they can do, or the bit do you know what I mean? Whereas 3D sculpting is very difficult. I'd have to learn a lot before I even tried that.
I have no idea how to make a mold of metal or how to draw plastic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the only thing I can do is paint it.
You can paint it, and that's so. I totally understand. But yeah, I've really enjoyed that aspect of the job. But what was I saying? I was saying what I do in a day. I'll have half an hour lunch break.
Paint models.
I paint models pretty much. Like I'll slap on the Side Quest podcast. I'll hit subscribe while I'm there and the like button. And the like button. And then what they'll do is they'll open Instagram again and go to Callum Paints and also follow.
Absolutely do follow Callum Paints.
Absolutely.
I've been spying on your stuff whilst you've been talking.
Very kind. I've been waffling, so don't worry. I
didn't realise I know so many of the pictures. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting.
What's
to see.
Nice, yeah. A lot of the time, Modiphius, I've just started using some of my images if they need to. If there's like a social thing, like with the Hollywood heroes, like in fact. All of the ones for the Valentine's Day posts that they just put up on my pictures, which I thought was really funny, just because I guess they had them to hand.
Just some interest. So all the pictures on your personal Instagram then are models you could have painted for Modiphius or have painted for yourself.
Yes,
and they're all the photos you've taken yourself.
So there's a select few.
Some of them.
There's a select few that are typically, if it's on a clean white background, I didn't do it. Mine's more of a grey. You'll notice.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah,
but
okay.
I normally like to do that if I'm like, this looks really cool. This is a product I made and it's on a box or whatever. Or do you know what I mean?
It's just really awesome. It's so cool to see. Like, man, some of these paint jobs are just crazy.
I also like there's an element of doing that. I'd like to show because you think, oh, they've touched that up a lot in the studio or whatever. I like to have my version because there's virtually no editing on mine.
One thing to ask, 'cause I always struggle, and I wonder for other people, how do you, like, if you take the photos yourself of these, whatever, or I assume you paint a model and you send it over to the department, they take a photo, right? Is that kind of how that works?
Yes.
How the hell do you keep dust and stuff off your models? Because I forever get little shitty speckles on even my best models.
It happens.
And ruins my photos.
Cat hairs.
Yeah, dog, Loki, I've got a golden
I don't
retriever.
know the fucking cat.
Yeah.
How?
I left some there when I came to see you.
You did.
Just went like,
Yeah.
it happens. It's part of the approvals process. Normally, John will be like, that's got a bit of dust on there, dust that off. So I use, have I got the brush to hand?
What's your trick here? Because I'm sick of it.
I use a
like,
large
do you use an
brush.
airbrush, or what do you use?
So I sometimes use the airbrush. If it's been sat there for a week, let's say, well, if it's been a big project, I will, just blow some air through the airbrush. But I also just use a very soft. Here it is. So, can you hear my Facebook dinging, by the way? Can you hear it through my headphones?
Yeah, you're okay.
That's all right. Just checking. Yeah, I will normally dust off with a big soft bristle brush. That is a large shade brush from Games Workshop.
I suppose this leads quite nicely into the next step, really. Are there any particular paints you love, or paint
It's funny, my brain did the same
brushes
thing.
you like?
I was like, this is a good segue, isn't it? And then you said
you
it.
open the door there. Look at this. He's a perfect guest, isn't he? So that leads us nicely into the next section. Yeah, exactly. Paint ranges. We also last week's episode, which you've not yet watched, Callum, but
Not yet.
we talked about different paint ranges, different products, and to be fair, so many paint ranges now are so much better than they used to be. We used to be very limited.
Of like, back in my day, I was slinging mud.
I was grinding up my own pigments and mixing it with
shit Citadel or literal shit in a pot. So like now there's so many good ranges and so many good brushes out there, and we've got synthetic, sable, whatever. Like, are there any particular things you would recommend people to get if you wanted to improve a little bit?
Absolutely. A good Kolinsky sable brush is essential, really, if you want to practice your technical sharpness in terms of, like, if you're dotting eyes or trying to do if you're trying to mimic heavy metal, you've got to have a really good sharp fine tip on your brush, because it doesn't even cut it sometimes using the edge of your brush to catch the edges. Sometimes that's too thick. You've got to do it by hand, the sharp line. So we're not sponsored. If they want to sponsor either this podcast, the Sidequest podcast, or to sponsor me, or both, I don't mind. I use hand-over brushes.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
You were talking about interesting ones to stop, and I think hand-over brushes might be a good one. They're quite
Googling it now.
They're quite affordable, and they are pretty reliable in terms of because a lot of people you're very sanctimonious online. Like, if you look after your brush, it should last you 14 years.
9 years.
I go through a brush about once a month, like in this
I was
job.
going to say,
it's that. Sometimes
I can imagine.
So handover typically lasts a bit longer. But yeah, they're decent price. Kolinsky sable, which is like weasel hair, I think. It's
like a little animal.
It's some poor little ferret.
I like to think they just shave it and then let it grow again, but I'm not entirely sure that's what happens.
That's where naked mole rats come from.
So I use those. I know you're not meant to use them for metallics and stuff, but on small scale tanks, you've got to use a sable brush to apply your metallics. It's very hard to use synthetics.
Hit me with this, right?
Sure.
Like I use various brushes. I use whatever I might have. I don't know. I've tried lots of different brands over the years, right? Whether it's
Kira just ruins them.
Kira ruins them all. Oh my, it's brutal, right? It's awful. They're all dead. She goes, I need new brushes again. I'm like, you are fucking kidding. But whatever, she's ruined everything. But
handover, nice and affordable.
So why is it then you would recommend a Kolinsky sable brush for doing those fine bits? What makes that? Why does that brush help?
I want to say I am not. I've done this. I do this professionally, but I'm not the fountain of knowledge, so I may be wrong.
That's okay.
I believe, to the best of my knowledge, it's because the natural hair has much more bounce to it, and it will reform its shape much quicker. Like, your hair has a memory, doesn't it? If you keep styling your hair one way, it kind of remembers that, doesn't it? And
do you remember your hair, Benji?
That was brutal.
I knew
that was absolutely.
I knew that was coming.
Oh my word!
That hurt here.
Oh.
Such an easy setup.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
I feel 10% bad.
But also 50% better for saying it.
About myself. No, so it's like I hear people say bounce, right? And you like a firmness of the brush. So are like different Kolinsky. I can't stop laughing. Are different Kolinsky brushes like firmer than other ones, and you would recommend like soft brushes for
Rosemary and Co. I find are a bit softer, and so deform a bit. Can't stop. Look at him.
You carry on.
I'm gonna see if I can break him here. I find when I press it down, it's a bit soft.
I've just had the best idea for a video ever. I'm going to go to a brush manufacturer and get them to make a brushes out of my remaining hair.
I'll test them.
Painting Warhammer with my last hairs.
People I know, yeah.
Be like, it's a limited run. Only 2 in the world. So I spat everywhere then.
Wow.
Sorry, I've done
And
it. I'm a guest.
You're even joining
I'm
in
sorry,
now.
I feel
Wow.
bad about that.
Wow. That's I love it. But yeah, that's the most YouTube video I've ever thought of, I think.
That's
but
great.
Sorry, continue. I could not say that one.
The thumbnail's you just doing this. Like just
exactly.
Don't pull it.
that's a brush.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some brands, and I couldn't tell you, I don't want to slam other companies.
Oh, here we go.
What works?
Here we go.
What works for me is a handover, because I think they're a bit firmer. I think Rosemary Co are a bit soft. They lose their point a bit quicker for me. Might be the way I do a lot of glazing and feathering, which means a lot of thin paint, which typically means it's running into the ferrule quite quickly. But yeah, normally it just means that it's going to hold its tip when you are pressing it down instead of splaying, and that's where you're getting that sharpness from. So a synthetic will typically splay quite easily, and if it hasn't, it's gone stiff because you've got wash in it, and the metallic flakes are all stuck in the hairs. But yeah, a proper hair one as well, you can kind of care for it. You definitely, if you want to get better, use brush soap. I can't reach mine. Mine's under the mic.
I feel like I've got a little one here somewhere. Yeah, I've got one
they normally
from
it's like
Artisopas or
Masters
something,
brush soap or something.
little pot. Yeah, I've got one somewhere.
I've got like
There it
a
is.
pink unicorn one.
Is it that one?
Is that from Monument Hobbies, I think?
Typically, they're more or less. I've used this one since I started, and that's
It lasts forever,
yeah,
doesn't it?
exactly. I mean, how much have I got left in there? It's looked murky in there, but yeah, use that maybe after every session, but not necessarily. Just when it's starting to look a bit crotty, and it's just.
And do you have sort of like bitch brushes,
Yes.
that you use for laying down base
100%.
coats,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you use your fancy
Yeah.
brushes for doing the good bits?
Yeah.
right?
It's sort of above me, and if I stand up, it'll just be a shot of my crotch, so I won't do that. But I've got one.
And you're not wearing any trousers.
I'm not.
Are you?
It's just
So-
like my job interview with Modiphius, so just the top.
Just the tip. Yeah. We do what we got to do, my friend. The casting couch is real.
You got to be lucky when you get in the room.
Good. Yeah, it's one or the other, my friend.
But yeah, I've worn all the paint off the handle because I've used that one for like 2 months now, because it's just for very specific, sharp edge highlights, the faces. That's like what it does. So it's like for the final stages. But yeah, normally it's nice to have a workhorse one that is both a bitch brush and also like a quality brush, like in a size 1 or 2. If you get a good one, and this is not always the case, like not every brush you get is the same, even from the same brand. Sometimes you get a good one because it's just hair. That particular animal,
natural variation, and
might have had a bit less keratin in the hair that formed it or whatever. But when you get that
got a bit
golden
more blood
brush
in it when it got shot.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, when he got shaved, they may have shaved a bit, not enough off.
In a friendly way.
When they had it in a soothing room.
With nice music, yeah.
Yeah, so it does vary. Once you get that special brush, hold on to it, because it's,
Magic.
But yeah,
amazing.
Kolinsky Sable brushes are better for particular tasks. I'm not saying use those to slap on thick base coats and start applying washes. Typically, a synthetic's better for that.
So, yes, that's the other thing I was going to say. So synthetic Games Workshop obviously make a
Yeah.
synthetic range and a normal range. I say normal, a natural hair range. Why would you then use a synthetic for? What would you use?
Because they are
synthetic for?
expendable.
Yeah,
That's why,
okay,
pretty much.
Cheaper base, just bases
'Cause you're
on,
gonna
slapping
wreck 'em.
washes on. Yeah.
Shades wreck brushes. Contrast paints tend to, although I think if you're careful, you're all right, as long as you wash it out thoroughly.
I am not careful.
I tend to use the you mentioned Rosemary Co. Those are kind of my go-to, just because I've used them for a couple of years now, and they're
works for
very
you.
cheap and they work for me. But
They're a
the ones
Yorkshire-based company as well, which is always nice to support.
they are, yeah, I think they're based up near Colne, I think, like Skipton Way, something like
I'm
that.
South Yorkshire, I don't know.
But they're I quite like their synthetics as well. Like, again, they're relatively
I've heard
cheap.
good things
I think they're
about
called Red Dot.
Yes.
Like, it's I'm not sponsored by them or anything like
if they
that.
want
But
to.
but if they wanted to, they could sponsor this podcast. But they just work for me. And like, some of the synthetic ones I've just had for a couple of years now, they just last.
Yep.
They've done really
If
well.
you look
Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing anywhere near as much
Well, that's the
painting as
thing.
you
That's
are.
also the
you
thing.
You probably
8
do
hours
in
a day
in like.
for
You probably do in a month in a week probably what I do over like the course of a year.
nothing
So,
survives
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's brutal, really. Especially like the amount of, like, as I say, glazing and stuff, really intense stuff that it's just like, water sat in the ferrule of the brush. It does kill them. However, that leads nicely. I'm great at these segues. Watch this.
Listen to
It
him.
works.
Listen to him.
So,
yeah,
so those
right.
brushes work for you, and handover works for me. I'd recommend you try a bunch. It's the same for paints, I think.
Mhm.
So if I have a particular paint range that I really enjoy, it is 2 thin coats. I am not sponsored. However, they do provide them to Modiphius for our streams and all sorts. However, it's not just shilling. About 95% of our box art is done with their stuff. I'll normally sub in a couple of other paints if necessary. But typically, it's nearly all two thin coats. In fact, the last one that I was just talking to you about before we jumped on was all two thin coats. There was that and white ink. That's all that got used on that model.
I think we're both fans of. We talked about it quite a lot last week. That we're both big fans of two thin coats.
They're so reliable as a range, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They all behave in the same way, if that makes sense.
You've got no, Citadel sometimes have like their bones and the bone colours and the yellows. Sorry, I'm cutting you off because I've not
listened to the video. No, go for it.
The bone colours and the yellow in Citadel are a bit chalky sometimes, same with whites. The range you can have really good colours in Citadel and you can have some duff ones. I don't think I've had a duff one yet with two thin coats. I can't say. No. And I've used a lot of them. I've used nearly all of them.
I think our experience at SF Entertainment was very similar. So I'm looking at my paint range now. There's a lot of Citadel. Obviously, I run the shop. It's what I've had for years. I use a lot of two thin coats when I'm painting in the shop. So Kira tends to paint with Citadel at home. It's too awkward to take all them back and forwards. So two thin coats and Peter and all that sent me all the paints there. And I've got the army painted speed paints there as well. And then obviously I do have access to anything on the shelves, but you
don't want to mess your stock levels up.
Still costs me to nick it, right? So Kira does that for me. So I have Vallejo there as well. There's a few particular paints from ranges that I really, really like. So there's things like Tinny Tin from Vallejo I love, Ice Yellow for model colour I really like. And there's a couple of different paints that I find I use quite often. I like the Dirty Downs because I'm sure you do it properly, but I like to slap that on and so it gives me a cheap rust effect, right? With no effort really, and it just looks good. Whereas I don't want to start using, I see people use that Scrag Brown or whatever and pissing around actually painting. I'll just bang that on.
That's where that was the recipe we used for a long time. Thundeer Brown, Mornfang Brown, Scrag Brown.
Nothing wrong with that, right? But I'll just use something else now because it's easy. Dark Star I've started using. Dark Star Metallic.
Yes, I've got some of those. Here.
Interesting product. Tarnished Steel is really good. Enjoying that.
The Molten Metallics, is that the...
That's the ones that... Yeah, interesting. I've only started using them a bit more. I do have a paint that everyone loves that I don't, but Proracle White.
Is that they're like titanium white or something? I hear that's the white. I've not tried it.
Kira and I did a paint video on the best whites, and actually we came out with two thin coats and then followed by Vallejo.
I think Trooper White and White Star are amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I've got a big fan. One of our patrons just makes stuff. He did ask, do you have any signature paints? Which I guess we're kind of discussing that now. Do you have any signature paints, ones that you use kind of most regularly or kind of ones that you kind of tend to gravitate towards?
So if it's Fallout, it's Thondia Brown from Games Workshop because everything's brown, everything's muddy. It goes on everything. It goes in the recesses of the guns.
A Thondia Brown?
Thondia Brown.
Thondia Brown. Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a really good slight green hue to it. It's punchy, vibrant. I'm waiting for two thin coats to make an equivalent and then I'll switch. But until they do, Peter, I'm looking at you. Make a Thondia Brown, please.
Yeah, Peter, come on, Peter. Yeah, that's it. Sort yourself out.
That's one of the few Citadel Browns that I don't have, so I'm gonna have to.
I would really, especially for like your leathers, if you're doing Rohan and stuff. I'd like. Yeah, I think it's a really good start. Although that's been said, Wave 3 for two thin coats, their new like Van Brace Brown. What are the other two? Anyway, that triad is really good for like neutral browns for leathers. Anyway. Signature colours, interesting, or signature. I always try and put a little X on every model. It's fun little, in terms of like little weathering and stuff. I just put a little X somewhere.
That's your thing.
I just as like a little. I don't know why. I should have put like a CF, but that'd be a bit more obvious if my boss spotted it.
Just put Callum on the front of it.
Maybe I should stop that now about the current climate. Everything renamed X.
Avoid.
Yeah, I don't want to think I'm associated with that in any way.
No.
Signature paints, unfortunately, as part of my job, I try not to, just because each job, I don't want everything to look the same. Different lines should have a particular style. If it's my own stuff, it's typically blue because I like painted ultramarines. But yeah, no, that's a really nice question. That, and I'm afraid not. I'm a bit boring. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. You just like the whole range, right?
I love every colour equally.
You liar.
Just whilst we're kind of on it, he had another question as well. Modern Instagram, how do you go about standing out enough to reach customers if you want to be a commission painter? The algorithm isn't what it once was.
When I find out, I will let you
know. You've got quite a following on Instagram, though, haven't you? Like you're on.
I'm at about 4,000 and something followers, which I'm very grateful for. I've been there a while, but it's because it's my own fault. I don't post enough because by the nature of my work, if I was working on Wave 10 of Fallout, so Fallout 76 this is, for about 2 years, because it was
Oh
just
my God.
it was just me at the time. It's a bumper wave. It lasted
Right,
it was a full year of releases, but it was just me at the time, and it was here's 4 sets of plastics, which are nearly 10 models each, one a month, go, and it was.
Is this the
So these are the new ones that are
the
coming out.
disciples and
No, so
Right,
it's the new ones that have been announced and shown off. There's Brotherhood.
right? Okay,
So I'm not getting in trouble here, I'm certain. Super Mutants, Survivors, and Raiders, like standard Raiders, just base Raiders.
They've all been shown up.
Those 4 are coming soon. Trademark.
Yeah.
As soon as they're off.
these are all new plastics as well, aren't they?
That's as soon as Chapter 4 cards for Skyrim, right? Yeah.
Our signature soon.
Yeah.
I want people to know that's not us. That's other
2023.
that's,
Just so you know,
it's other factors that are impacting Modiphius.
Of course.
But they were like back to back to back. So that was like 4 months nearly. It just worked.
Crazy, yeah.
I think none of us can answer that question here. Really, what makes you stand out more?
You guys would probably have a better answer than I would, if I'm honest, because you both have large followings than I do.
I don't on Instagram. I think just from having spoken to people. Like, one of my kind of classic examples is Michael from Nat One Videos. Like, he posts loads of stuff, and he got like, all it took one of his videos to go
like a million,
completely viral, and he had like millions and millions, and like all of a sudden he went up to like 100,000 followers on Instagram, like literally, and it was pretty much overnight. It was meteoric rise. And I think sometimes it's just luck. It's not that he'd done anything different to anything that he'd done previously. It just happened to be.
It relates.
It grabbed hold of. Do you know what I mean?
Back to the start of like you put yourself in that position. He kept putting the content up, and he just got lucky and he performed when it happened.
Yeah.
You stick a ton of reels up, right, and then you follow it up. So, I'm at about 9,000 odd on Instagram. It's not really my main platform, obviously. Then Kira's at nearly 50,000, and so for her, it's just put out reels slagging off Yu-Gi-Oh players and stuff, right? Like that does it too.
They need slagging off, though, don't they? Really,
it's a humiliation thing, is it? Is that
they need bringing down a peg?
You're still going to bully each other, right? We said that's kind of gone now, but you think about inside, you still got to bully each other a bit. Yeah. So, there's Warhammer players, and
it's just banter.
Then it's Magic,
banter.
then it's Yu-Gi-Oh, and then it's D&D and whatever
and
order.
The chess, right? Chess is at the bottom.
It's chess nerds. So yeah, I think it's hard. It's a hard one to answer, really, right? In this day and age, just so many people doing it. You just need, again, like you said earlier, like we said, you need put yourself in the position to keep putting content out. Keep improving as well. You've got to try new stuff, not just painting, but also on photography, tagging, descriptions, all of it, right? It's all one big thing, and it has multiple platforms. It's reels, it's shorts, it's whatever.
I think it was you, Ollie, that said the moment you stop trying to improve, you fall behind.
Correct. And I believe
that.
Even with the shop,
yeah.
right? Like if I don't look to make an improvement, whether it's a new product or cleaning something or rearranging something, or like I'm constantly working on my logo. I'm talking to a new logo again, trying to do a new website, new tags. I mean, you have to just keep moving, because someone else will always catch you up, and then you just fall behind.
Like such a nerd. I'm just quoting what you guys said.
Yeah. Jesus. As you say, you have listened to the entire back catalogue of the last
recently
week.
As well, so it's fresh in my mind. And the other thing
this guy, Benji, geez, he was just staring at me from 10 feet away when we were at that other...
Before we started recording. I'd also say contact, don't be afraid to reach out to people. I know I chat infrequently, but to Primaris Ultra on Instagram, who, I don't know if you followed him, has had a meteoric rise in his talents, in what he's been doing. It's amazing to watch. He's one of those that I'm annoyed because he's got so many resources. He's nearly probably better than I am, and he's been doing it half the time. But then that being said, I've not been doing it that long, so maybe I've got no right to say.
No, you haven't.
You can shut up. Yeah, exactly. You're twice as good.
Yeah, exactly.
You
bugger over. Yeah, been doing 2 months or something in you're a professional painter.
But I'd say reach out and talk to people. Maybe even ask someone who's got 100,000 followers. What have you got any tips? I spoke to Brushstroke actually, because I met Brushstroke at the same event I met you at, and lovely chap. And I was like, I think I want to do YouTube. Have you got any tips? And we had a chat about that, and just very giving with his time, and we spoke, and it gave me loads of info that I hadn't even considered.
James is a lovely guy.
He's just lovely.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
He's great, and he's he started a little bit, I think a year or so before I did, but he does stuff incredibly well. All his videos are incredibly well shot. It's very detailed, very accurate and things, and that's what I kind of love about his stuff. And everything's like a lesson. And don't get me wrong, there are other people that have done sort of similar sort of things, but I think he does it incredibly well, and I think does it concisely, because some videos they
Gotta
you know,
hit that
they're
10-minute
covering
mark.
off a technique. Yeah, but they're
Is it
also
10 minutes
there's some,
anymore?
there's
8 minutes now.
But then there's some people out there that'll do like a 40 or 50-minute video on something that could have been 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing. Like,
You've ever
you know,
watched
again,
one of our streams? It's the same. We do that. Sorry.
but a stream is slightly different. But I think you know, you kind of get, you know, being on YouTube, you know, you have to be like a director, a producer, an editor.
You wear many hats, don't you?
You know, the voiceover, the talent. So and unless you kind of, if you're missing one of those pieces, like it's very difficult to do. I think James just does a really, really good job of kind of all of that, really.
And I suppose it's the same if you are looking to post to Instagram. You are a photographer. You are then the post-processing on the image. You're the model assembly, painting, that kind of all those factors. I think people underestimate model prep when they are trying to get good at painting. You've got to get good at assembling models. I was dreadful looking back at my old ones, looking at all the mold lines. I'm like, how did you not see it, you blind idiot? You know, but my granddad always says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And it's just, you know.
Yeah, get the basics right. It's we exactly that. So like, Kira paints a lot, and she got good very quickly. She was very good to begin with. I think she did a lot of makeup courses and stuff. So was all very good at like contour. She got very good at skin.
It's amazing, like the crossover of like contour, highlight, like because it's all they're doing is exaggerating the features, and that's what we're doing at miniature scale. That's all it is.
Yeah, bang in shades here. Put this up. This goes a bit more red. That's whatever. So she is awesome. And always was very good at skin. Very good at like wet blending and stuff and all that. She did a lot of cake decoration as well. So her like skills came over towards that, and she got good very quickly. So very much like you say, people like we're doing a video together, and people are like, "Oh, Kira's is better than yours." I'm like, I've been doing this for 30 years. She's done it for 8 months. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so that was always annoying. But like, I'm looking, here's like one of her orcs she did. Do you know what I mean? So like the skin on these is really nice. Lots of like, you won't see it there, but also like nice, like she used like a bluey purple base tone under it and stuff. The yellow's really good. So she worked and practiced and tried lots of new things continually. One thing she isn't good at, and would admit herself, I say, is like model prep, right? Assembly. It's just something she needs to, you just have to work in. You have to have an eye for mold line removal and stuff like that. Then once you've done the skin on, she's got one of her giants, and there's like basically just a giant mold line down it. And once you've done that airbrushing, it's like, oh,
and it's happened.
It's hard to hide.
It's happened where I've had to scrape it back and reprime, and it does
go
happen.
again.
You miss them occasionally, but
so it's really important. And we actually did a video last week on primers. So like, people prime with an airbrush, but most of us, I say, don't have an airbrush. So most people are priming with spray cans, and there's various brands out there and all that. And like, there's people who will use a subpar spray can,
which is so important.
It's so important to get it right early on. There's always price and cost involved, and there's lots of very different brands out there. But like, I think if you set yourself up with a bad primer, you're going to struggle. A glossy thick primer, you can't remove that.
And you can't get a smooth base coat over it. No matter how smooth your application is, you'll see the primer like texture.
Yeah, it just is. So like, setting yourself up there to then painting, you could do the best job you can, but like, that's never going to go away, right? Like, so it's interesting to see the processes involved. And like you say, with YouTube, Instagram, you're doing all of those things on your own. You know, it's down to you. And we filmed a video today, and Kira is very much, she doesn't do the camera stuff. She doesn't do lighting. She does the stuff.
Yeah. But she's the camera talent.
She's the talent, right? There's actually, you'll see today there was a like a time lapse, and it's basically just her stood on her phone the entire time while I'm running around like a twat for 40 minutes.
Sounds like Lauren.
She's just on TikTok. Yeah, and she's like, you've done that, I'm bored now. And I'm like, literally, sorry. Like, that's just like what that is. Yeah. So there's so many other skills, and whether you have interest in learning cameras or not, I didn't know anything about a camera. I was lucky my friend Ben and my other friend Chris and Luke all taught me about cameras. I'd never used a DSLR through my first video. Never used Premiere Pro before.
Secret? I don't photograph any of my miniatures with a DSLR. I photograph with my phone.
And phones are so good now.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they are so good.
I mean, I need to learn. I would like to learn. But
you get a different look through a DSLR.
Totally. And you've got much more control.
For something like Instagram or whatever, the phone cameras now.
With compression and that, innit?
6 years ago, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't, you take the best shot ever, but Facebook just goes, nah, it's shit now. So it doesn't really matter as much. It's just a different feel to your page. Absolutely. Phones now, people are recording YouTube videos off them and they look just as good. Webcams now, like Obsbot and all these other brands that are coming out that are just easy USB rather than looking at 9 cameras and stuff. It's all a different feel, and you've got to find what works for you, but you need to do your research, right, as well. You need to look into those things. Very much the same with painting. You need to do your time to improve and try new stuff.
I know we're running long, so I won't try and...
That's quite all right. Don't worry.
But...
Yeah, I think we've kind of gone off the topic a little bit here, but it's all still interesting stuff. But yeah, bring us back. I can bring it back to
it. Oliver,
bring it back for the end.
Saying there, and it was part of wanting to do commission painting, And we've kind of like circled around it, and I'm sure you'll probably, when you do the YouTube chat podcast episode, that you will go into it much more. But it's so like, it looks glamorous. I want to get out there and I want to do commission painting, and it's like, but you've got to make sure that when your hobby burnout happens, that you can then keep just doing it because it's a job.
Just keep plowing
And
through.
It's that thing of like, people skip the boring bits, like the prep at the start. They don't want to clean up the model properly because that's not the interesting bit for them. It's like, I hate doing it as well. I'd do this, but if someone could do it for me, it'd be lovely. Apparently, Games Workshop do. Someone assembles it for Heavy Metal, which sounds fantastic.
Oh, wow.
But you've got to do those bits, and you've got to just get it done so that you can do the exciting bit. And that's okay to have joy in that exciting bit. You should, because otherwise all of it's a drag. But it's a job at the end of the day, and it's sometimes.
Do you ever suffer from burnout?
Yeah.
Have you ever suffered from
Yeah,
burnout?
this last model, I wanted to see the back of it. I was,
And do you just power through, or
Yeah.
are you able to sort of say to your boss, like, look, I need a day or so of not painting, because obviously it just feels like my job would be very different to what you do, and like, don't get me wrong, I can almost tailor my day a little bit to not doing the things that might be kind of a bit of like that would cause me to burn out from my job. I can kind of take myself away from that a little bit. I can have like a day of doing admin or something like that. Whereas obviously you don't necessarily have that. I guess you've just got to keep painting.
That's where the beauty. When I was saying about the latitude we're given, that's for instance, if that's happening, I typically won't check with my boss. Not check. That's the wrong word. I won't say, boss, I need to stop painting. I will go, my next project is a bunch of these models. I'm tired of doing edge highlights. I've got all these models for the next project. I'll just build those and gap fill them and get them ready, and that'll be my day. And then I'll go back to, do you know what I mean? And I'll just mix it up that way. I can't stop. I have to keep creating something, because that's unfortunately just like
That's a job.
That's the job. Yeah,
keep doing it. Any job's like that. I don't want to appear as if woe is me. This is such a hard. I suffer for my art kind of thing.
Yes, correct.
But it's sometimes harder in that it can kill your passion as well. That's the other thing of like, if you do this for a living, it can just crush. You might end up with no joy for the thing that you did to do it in your free time.
I think I've never enjoyed my hobby less than now. Right?
It's when the times get hard,
YouTube,
isn't it?
It's the shop and YouTube, right? It's just true. Like, it's just, I don't just deal with like sitting around doing Warhammer all day in the shop. It's not. It's like a retail job, and like stuff goes wrong. That isn't necessarily my fault, but I'm accountable, and then that becomes part of my job. And then I go, oh God, whatever that product is turns up and I hate it. So I just want it gone out of the shop. Do you know what I mean? So like that happens, or videos. And actually what you're saying there about doing the interesting parts of models and having to then plow through is something Kira, again, wouldn't mind me saying, but she loves to do. Like, she loves all the skin. She loves those bits, but she just hates boring parts of models. So we're very fortunate, really, that both of us here paint. Yeah. And she has taken commissions on where she's done all the lovely stuff. I'm actually looking at, I don't know if you show me that. I'm actually looking at a really like a nice angle right now, right?
That looks really, really
good.
It's
amazing. Great. It's really good, but she's totally fed up with it, right? And it's at a point where she's just like, I just don't want to look at it anymore. We had the baby, she got pregnant, and she had a couple of commissions behind and needed them finishing off. So she did the line. She did a great job on the line. Looks amazing. It's on her Instagram. But like, core bits just needed finishing. She did an assassin, same thing again. She did like some world eaters, and they were all like, everything is 80% done. She's like, I just don't want to look at it anymore. I'm sick of it. I want it gone. I can't look at it anymore. It's like depressing me. I just think about it. Do you know what I mean? I know like worries me. It's not that. But it's just on your brain.
Especially when it's your hobby, you take it home with you.
Yeah, and it's. I'm in my kitchen, looking at these half incomplete.
It's sat there looking at you while you're having your
these jobs.
morning coffee.
So we're very lucky, really. She goes, look, I'm just fed up. Will you just put a couple of hours into it? I'll just sit here, right? I'll just bang all the boring colours on. They go, I'll just sit and do base colours. Do it in a couple of times, take it to work, do an hour there, come back. And then she's like, right, okay, it's a good step forward now. I'll finish it off, gone and done. Yeah. So like having that partnership there helps. I will break the back of it. I bloody will, right? And it's important because she does the fancy bits and then she gets bored. So I'll break the back of the rest of it. She finishes it off, sends it off, done, right? And so having that like partnership is good. But yeah, certainly I can imagine you being stuck on your own and, in your studio space going off, you just look at it again and you're like, I hate it.
And it's sometimes that's the time where you go make yourself a cup of tea, sit, think about it for 5, and then you just crack on. I think commissions are a great way for you to try it. It's low commitment. Don't try and commit to a full 30-man like Horus Heresy, Legion squad. Just try a character commission or a small set of things. Try a small and see if you hate it.
Kira's never done more than real singular models or like 3 world eaters. She doesn't do armies. People come and say, "Will you do 50 models?" And she's like, "No,
I take no joy in that, and I don't want to like, especially outside of work. Like if work we've got 40 plastic models that need painting. All right, well that's you're paying me my salary, so that's fine. But,
Yeah,
but I'm
fair.
not going to then take
Yeah.
on outside of that, which is the same, like, for you guys, outside of the shop and, your family life. If you're taking on extra burdens, it's got to be something you'll find some joy in, even if it's not the whole thing. There's got to be that small element of joy in it, hasn't there?
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
so.
Exactly. Right, so I think that is a good
shut
place
me
to wrap it. We've gone on for quite a while
I love it.
this one, but
I've had a
I've
great
really enjoyed this one. This has been great.
Let's hope it does well.
Yes, I think it will. I think I think we've discussed a lot of stuff that we hadn't intended to discuss, but I think as is the way in these podcasts. Callum, thank you so much for coming on. Have you got where can people find you if they? I know you mentioned it earlier, but obviously if they missed that, where can people go and
If
find
you
you?
missed that, go back to the start and watch it again.
Yeah, way through.
You could go find me on Instagram as Callum Paints, all one word. I think I'm the same on YouTube /Callum Paints, and I don't have anything else currently, which I need to fix. I need to get better at that. I am on Facebook, but I never use.
He's too young for Facebook.
No, I
Come
did.
on.
I had to. It was big when I was. I mean,
Where's your MySpace
not
page or your
MySpace.
Bebo?
That never.
MSN
Messenger,
Come on.
Skype. I'm not on those either. They're dead. They're gone. But yeah, Instagram at Callum Paints, YouTube Callum Paints, and also if you want to find me even more professional, I am on the Modiphius painting streams the first Friday of every month with my co-host Steve, where we typically will take an upcoming release, and if I did the box art for it, I'll show you how I did the box art or some kind of neat tips and tricks on how to tackle it. So that's what we do as well.
Amazing.
I'd like to join in. I'd like to look at that. I mean, I'd like to follow you on there because I think I'd like to get some painting done and figure out how you make them look so
It's
good.
a really
So
nice
I'd
kind
love
of
to
hang
watch
out.
it.
We need to advertise it better, so that's something we're going to be working on, like pushing better. But yeah, it's like a 2.5 hour stream where we sit, bit of banter, bit of chatting about what we're going to have for dinner, and also showing you how to paint this set model, for instance. So
I think we'll invoice Modiphius £100 for that. What do you think, Benji? That's the
Yeah, I
promotion
think
there.
so.
Nice
Yeah,
one.
they can be the sponsor of this video unknowingly. Ultimately, the reason we kind of want you on is like we love obviously your paint jars, but also we're big fans of. I personally am a big fan of Fallout. Ollie, you're a big fan of Skyrim. And it's nice to kind of chat to a painter that's kind of painting some of those models that we've kind of that we've
we
looked
didn't
at,
even really
that we
talk
love.
about the IPs either, did we?
We've done that before. Whatever.
We've talked about that before and things, but we could always have you back on in the future.
Definitely.
To talk
If
about
there's any
stuff like
questions
that,
as well, put them in the comments and I'll probably answer them as
Yes,
well.
do.
I'll
yeah,
try and answer them in there.
perfect. That's amazing.
We'll put your links down in the description as
That's
well.
very
if you want
kind.
to send
Thank
your
you.
follows, they'll
Yeah.
be down there as well.
Of course. Cool. So I think we will wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to support us, we've got our Patreon, which you'll find linked down below. If you join our Patreon, you can help shape this podcast. You can potentially even suggest guests that you'd like to see us have on, like we've had Callum today. But also you can ask questions, which we have asked Callum today as well, which would be nice. And you can also shape topics that we are potentially going to discuss in the future. Ollie, have you got anything to add?
Yes, wherever you're listening, make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the alarm bells, leave reviews. Well, I don't even know what you do on some of those other platforms where you listen. Go over to YouTube anyway and subscribe to us there because we need to get monetized because Benji and my headphones are falling apart. If I knock a microphone, the cable falls out and, Benji's sat in a shed. So we
have children to feed, so we could do with a few extra pennies. Yeah, we have children. Callum's one of them.
My kid actually ate beans today because that's what he lives off now. So, and the price of beans has shot up, like you'd all know out there. So, any support would be great.
Hoops instead. That's a slightly cheaper alternative.
Cheaper, is it? Well, but I wanted to be a smart kid. I get him to eat alphabetti spaghetti, but it's expensive.
That's where the ABC's coming from.
Yeah.
You'd have to just be an idiot. It's fine. Yeah, so other than that, I think we're all done. Thank you again, Callum, so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Well done, Benji, as well. Another podcast out of the way, episode...
Another 17.
17.
We want to get to 20 because that's what the average podcast gets to before people quit and get bored.
And then we can quit,
and realize that they make no money out of it. So
we'll do a GoFundMe episode 19 and then piss off at episode 20.
If you're enjoying this,
yes, let's do that.
Make sure you subscribe so that it goes past 20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You subscribe, we'll keep doing them. Cool. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you hopefully next week for the next episode. Bye-bye.